There's a difference between having a life and consciously choosing one. Most of us make decisions every day so naturally we assume we are directing our lives. But beneath those visible decisions, there may be deeper instructions already operating. Instructions about who we should be, what we must achieve, what makes us worthy, what we are responsible for, and what we are allowed to want. This is what I call living by default. A life by default is not necessarily an unhappy one. It may be productive, responsible, organised, and successful. But it is a life shaped largely by inherited expectations, emotional conditioning, past experiences, and identities we learned to perform before we were conscious enough to question them. We may believe we are choosing when we are actually continuing. Continuing to be the dependable one, the successful one, the accommodating one, the one who holds everything together. Not because these expressions are necessarily incorrect, but because they may no longer be consciously chosen. Life by default is not a life without choices. It is a life in which the criteria guiding those choices remain largely unseen. Awareness allows us to recognize that something may be repeating. But awareness alone does not reveal how that pattern continues to influence our decisions. This is where the movement from awareness into observation becomes essential. Consider your own movie of life. There is probably a character you have become very familiar with playing. Perhaps it's the character who achieves, who avoids disappointing people, who remains composed, who keeps moving even when something within them is quietly withdrawing. That character may be highly competent. It may have helped you belong, succeed, or survive. But a character who once helped you navigate life is not necessarily qualified to direct the rest of it. Awareness helps you recognize the character. Observation allows you to see the character in action. The moment you agree when you want to decline, the moment you remain silent to avoid discomfort, the moment you choose what is expected instead of acknowledging what you genuinely want. It's observation that makes unconscious continuation visible. It reveals the expectations you keep fulfilling, the consequences you keep avoiding, and the future your familiar actions continue to recreate. But observation is not the final destination. Once a pattern has been seen in motion, a different action becomes possible. It may be one honest conversation, a new boundary expressed, an automatic response paused, a decision made differently. Life by design begins in these moments. Not when every part of your life has changed, but when an observation begins to influence an action. There is a difference between continuing because you have never questioned something and continuing because, having observed it clearly, you still choose it. One is unconscious repetition. The other is conscious participation and authorship of a life by design. So perhaps the question is not, how do I redesign my whole life? Perhaps the more useful questions are, what am I becoming aware of? How can I observe it while it is happening? And what one different action could interrupt its automatic continuation? Life by design begins when awareness becomes observation, and observation becomes conscious action. You do not have to rewrite your entire movie of life today, but you may be ready to observe who or what has been directing the next scene, and choose one action that begins to change it. If this reflection has brought something into view, you may like to pause and ask yourself, what one different action could I take in response to what I have become aware of and been observing?